You're watching Talking About Orks. In this episode of Talking About Orks, we're going to be going over the Ork Dreadnought. Yes, I know they're called Def Dreads in the Codex, but that's a stupid name. They are Ork Dreadnoughts. Ork Dreadnoughts is a heavy support choice. It is a walker, pretty much your standard Dreadnought stats with armored 12 on the front and sides. Weapon skill 4, base strength of 5. The Ork one has initiative 2 with 3 attacks. He comes equipped with 2 Dreadnought close combat weapons when the extra attack is already included in the profile, as per the Ork facts. So don't think that the additional close combat weapon gives you 4 base attacks. It does not. And there's a myriad of weapon options. You must take 2 additional slots, and those additional slots can be filled with weapons or an additional Dreadnought close combat weapon. So you can go up to 4 of those, and if you take additional ones, they do count for additional attacks. In addition, you can give them grot riggers and armor plates. I am not a big fan of Dreadnoughts. They are generally underperforming. You can't do fun things like you can with Space Marine Dreadnoughts, like give them a drop pod. If you give them a drop pod, that would be awesome, but unfortunately, Orks don't have drop pods. I don't know why not, they should. But so they're going to be foot slogging it across the board, and which means they're going to have a lot of chances to get shot at. And even under a custom force field, they're probably going to die before they really get a chance to be effective. Now, the one good part about the Def Dread, this is the part that definitely makes it a viable unit, is that if you take a big mech, you can take a Dreadnought in your troop choice slots instead of heavy support. It does not mean it is scoring, even though it is a troop, because vehicles scoring are specifically prohibited in the main rulebook. So they're not scoring, but they do not take up a heavy support choice slot, which is really, really good. So you can have that walker without losing your heavy supports. So the options of the weapons, standard Ork weapons, big shooter, rocket launcher, custom mega blaster, and Scorcha. Don't ever take a custom mega blaster on these guys. Firing a single shot weapon BS2, same with the rocket. Just don't do it. It's just not worth it. Big shooters are cool. They're cheap. My favorite though is the Scorcha. Gives you a heavy flamer, no shooting, and really good just before you assault. The Dreadnought close combat weapons are pretty expensive at 15 points per. So that adds up really quick if you're going to add 1 or 2 of those. I think grot riggers and armor plates are both awesome upgrades for Dreadnoughts, because if you are foot slogging across the board, the armor plates means you don't have to worry about being stunned and stuck. So that right there should be almost a mandatory upgrade. Grot riggers are really cool for 5 points, fixed and immobilized. Again, that's really cheap for what it does. So I would consider grot riggers armor plates mandatory upgrades if you're going to be actually running a Dreadnought. My favorite combination is 2 Scorches, grot riggers armor plates, brings in your Dreadnought in an even 100 points. Okay, this is my dual Scorcher Dreadnought. And for that price, I think it's really good. I unfortunately have not run a Dreadnought in a very long time. That's because, generally speaking, anything a Dreadnought can do, Killicans can do better. And that's what it comes down to. The only thing that the Killicans can't do better is take up your troop choice instead of a heavy support. So definitely be thinking about that when designing a list, that putting the Dreadnought in a troop choice slot. That's a really, really cool way to run a Dreadnought. But generally, I don't think they're that effective, just simply because they do have to foot slog it across the board. They can't shoot on the way because you should be running, so you shouldn't be shooting anyway. And they can add up in points really fast if you start taking a bunch of options. So, it pretty much covers Dreadnoughts. Dreadnoughts are great. They can still slice open vehicles. They're still Strength 10 Dreadnought close combat weapons, and of course you have to get 2 weapon destroys before you get rid of that. Start with. So they're definitely going to be a high priority target, just like all Dreadnoughts are in this game, because they're going to be something you have to deal with. If you let them get too close, it's something you have to deal with. And with the riggers and armor plates, there's going to be a lot less chance of the damage getting through is going to do anything. And of course, if you're running a mech to make it a true choice, it's going to probably have a custom force field. So now you're going in a 4+ cover save, and that is, again, is just awesome. It's just a way to get that Dreadnought across the board and into combat. So that's really about all I have to say. I'm not a big fan of the Dreadnoughts. I think there are better things you can do with your points and your choice slots. If you're not taking a mech, you definitely better uses of your heavy support slots. But if you are taking a mech and you move it to troop choice, it's definitely a lot better way to go. So that's about it for the Dreadnought. Dreadnoughts are a viable orc unit, but whatever a Dreadnought can do, Killicans can do better.